Rev up your engines!
Larry F says, is it worth pushing a fuel injector additive to a car? It's a new car. No, you're throwing your money down the toilet. It's the clean stuff. It isn't dirty. It's a brand new engine. Don't throw your money away. Gasoline already comes with all kinds of cleaners. Now, there's good cleaners out there, like my friend Bernie's ATS cleaner that you put in a gas tank. It's phenomenal stuff. But you put it in a clunker that's wearing out, that burns oil, is clogged up, and it's going to start cleaning the carbon out when you put the additive in. But if you buy a brand new car and you buy correct gasoline, change the oil correctly, you really never need to put an additive in it. Unless it's a piece of crap like a GDI Volkswagen and it's going to build up all this carbon because it's built wrong, then yeah, you can put some cleaner in and try to help it. If that doesn't work, then you got to take the engine apart and get a sand blaster and put walnut shells in it instead of sand and blast the carbon after you take the engine apart. David P. said, Scotty, what is the ideal age and mileage range for making a financially smart used car purchase? That is a pretty open-ended question because how much money are you going to spend and what do you want to get, right? If you can get a good price, I would say get a Toyota or a Honda. Say if you can get one that's around 8 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, they still got plenty of life, you can get a much better price. Now, if you're looking, I'm going to get a 2 or 3 year old used car, you're going to pay so much money, you're not really saving that much. But as you get older, people pay less money. And let's say you buy an 8-year-old Toyota that's got 100,000 miles. Okay, that thing might go 300,000-400,000 miles. You're getting a higher percentage back on your investment because you buy a 2 or 3 year old one, you're going to pay 25, 30 grand, right? And if you buy the other one for 8 or 9 grand or less, you're still getting a better deal buying less. And sure, it's got higher mileage, but they can last so long. The percentage of life left in the car versus what you pay, you can't beat an older one. Aggie Hall says, is it better for your car to use air recirculate button when running the AC? Well, yes, it is, because if you have fresh air, that means all the hot air is coming into your car. It's 95 out, 95 degree air into your car and cool it down. Takes more energy. You'll get worse gas mileage. It will wear everything out faster. If you put it on recirc, once it gets cool, it's taking the cool air you're already breathing and it's recirculating it so it cools down air that isn't 100 degrees. It's a lot cooler. It's more efficient. Things will last longer. It actually does. Now, most cars are not hermetically sealed. If you had a perfect car that was completely sealed, you wouldn't run it all the time on recirc, or you'd be going down a highway, you'd fall asleep because you'd have carbon dioxide from you breathing it out inside. If you're worried, you put it on recirc, maybe crack a window a little bit to get a little fresh air in it, so you're not breathing pure carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. Because the AC system on recirc makes your hot air coming out of your breath cool down. But it is not a carbon dioxide scrubber like scuba divers can have to get the carbon dioxide out. You would be breathing pure carbon dioxide if you had a perfectly sealed car and you kept it on recirc. But like I say, hardly any cars are perfectly sealed. She says, you call Peugeot, Fiat, and Chrysler the three stooges of car manufacturing. Does that make Nissan, Mitsubishi, and Renault the Marx brothers? No. Groucho Marx was an extremely intelligent man. I wouldn't say any of those companies are extremely intelligent at all. The three stooges, they all played idiots, right? Well, Groucho Marx played the smart man in the room. He was a pretty smart guy. So, no, I wouldn't call them the Marx brothers. I'd call them Three Stooges 2, or Three Stooges Light, whatever you want to call them. Ford F-150 lover said, Scotty, what's the best Ford? F-150, the 4.6 engine or the 5-liter? Please answer. The 4.6-liter engine is the engine that they based the V8 engines for the Shelby Cobra on. But they built it up to put out with the supercharger 620-something horsepower. The 4.6, as far as I'm concerned, is the better of those V8 engines. 5-liter's okay, but the 4.6, you can play with it more. And they generally have a tendency of lasting longer, too. I'd go 4.6 when it comes to a V8 Ford. Gummy Tommy says, what do you think about the new Ioniq 5N? Okay, well, I saw one when I was driving between Rhode Island back here to Tennessee, right? I saw one. You know, I mean, it's an electric car. I'm not particularly a fan of the range and the hassles and the money that they cost. I mean, it's a nice-looking car. But, of course, it's a Hyundai, right? It's a Korean car. I'm not a fan of Korean cars because over the history of time, they have made a lot of really crappy cars and had a lot of problems that I wouldn't buy one of their electric cars. I don't care. There are other cars that have a history of making bad problems, so there's no way I'd go out and buy an extremely complex electronic car that they build for fear of it having many problems as it aged. Caleb said, Scotty, I got $8,000 for a used 4Runner. Is it possible to get a good one? Well, you're going to have to look high and low. I just had a customer buy a used 4Runner the other day. I checked it out. Everything was fine, but you paid $35,000 for it. You're going to have a hard time finding a good 4Runner for $8,000. It's going to be an old one with probably 200-something thousand miles or more on it. Realize that. They have solid body on actual frame construction. They can last forever, but you're not going to get them cheap. They're very expensive vehicles, even used, with even 250, 300,000 miles on them. Jesus, I got a Honda Accord. It shut down when I was driving. All the dash lights came on. Turned it off and back on. It started back up with just the engine light on. What happened? There's so many reasons a car can shut down. It would make your head spin. There are hundreds of them. So now your check engine light is on. Have somebody scan it. See what the code is. Have a guy like me or send me an email. I'll check it out. Because the code will give you an idea of what general area failed. They are generic codes. You get a code, PO, whatever. It's a generic code. It means there's a problem in that system. Doesn't mean that's a problem. Like if you got a code for oxygen sensor, doesn't mean it's a bad oxygen sensor. It could be it's running too rich, too lean. The engine has problems, but it'll trip that code because the computer sees, well, the data from the oxygen sensor is weird, so I'll trip that code. Doesn't mean the sensor's bad. So they're relatively generic codes, but you got to get the code first and then go from there. You see how the lights and everything got on, so it stalled out. I mean, maybe your fuel pump's starting to go out, or maybe your ignition system kicked out, but that code is going to tell you. It might show you that the ignition system crapped out or that the fuel system crapped out, and then you got to analyze to see what went wrong. Alex says, Scotty, is a 2010 Subaru Impreza Outback Sport with 130,000 miles, reliable, good first car. Please tell me. They can be good cars, but a lot of those things will leak engine oil because they use silicone glue instead of gaskets on many parts of the engine. So what you want to do is first drive it hard for 10 minutes, then park it. See if oil's dripping down and get a flashlight. Look around the engine on both sides, a boxer engine, there's cylinders here and cylinders there, with the flashlight. You see oil coming out, don't buy it. You could have to pull the engine or fix all that stuff. But if it's not leaking, the engine runs good, doesn't overheat, it shifts good, yes, it can be a good first car. But you got to check for those oil leaks first. Giant Killer says, Scotty, my 2010 Nissan Xterra keeps misfiring throwing a cylinder number 5. I changed the spark plugs, coil pack, and the fuel injector for cylinder 5. Okay, it's still firing on number 5. Odds are your engine's going out. I don't know how many miles you got on it, but what? It's a 14-year-old car. What you want to do is do a compression test first of all the cylinders. Or if you're lazy, do test of cylinder 4 and then 2 cylinders, 1 on each side, so you can check 3 of them. And if number 5 is really low and the others are normal, your engine's worn out inside. Also, it could be getting a blowing head gasket on cylinder number 5. In that case, you do my video, how to tell if your head gasket is blown. Scotty, watch it on YouTube. You can find out, is your head gasket blowing? That will also do. You tried the easy fix, and unfortunately for you, they didn't work. So you got something more serious wrong. Joel says, Scotty, my high beam filament of the dual beam headlight bulb keeps burning out. What could be the problem? All right, 1, do you use your high beams? If you use them, and they keep burning out, what you want to do is check the ground wiring on that bulb, because if the ground is bad, you need power, but you need ground. If the ground is weak, then it's going to get hot, and then it's going to burn the filament out faster. That's a typical thing. So you want to check the socket that the bulb plugs into. Could be the socket's corroded inside, and that'll burn out the high beam too. Some kind of corrosion either on the wiring or on the socket where it plugs in. Plus, don't buy cheap bulbs. If you buy cheap Chinese crap electric bulbs, they're made like junk and they will burn out all the time. I used to get some at AutoZone, brake lights, headlights, sometimes within a week or two they'd burn out because they're made like crap. Buy quality ones, don't buy junk ones. Brian Smith says, 2023 Mazda CX-5 or 2023 Nissan Rogue, which is better? The Mazda CX-5 by a country mile. I would never buy a Nissan Rogue. They have more problems as they age. Transmission problems, engine problems, electrical problems. The Mazdas don't have the same type of problems at all. If you had a choice between those two, I wouldn't even think about the Nissan. It's not even close. Like if you were looking at a Honda CR-V and a Toyota RAV4, it's kind of a toss-up. They're both pretty good, but in that case, Mazda's so much better vehicle. Don't even think about buying the other one. Thomas Castro said, what are some good, reliable cars for first-timers to drive? Okay, first-timers, you're probably going to smash them up, so don't spend too much money. Toyotas and Hondas, like if you don't have much money, Toyota Corolla, Honda Civics. That's all you want to look at, right? If you got a little bit more money, look at Toyota Camrys and Honda Accords and see which ones you like, what you can find and buy it. But don't spend too much money because the first-time drivers almost always get in a wreck and wipe out their first cars. So don't spend too much money. Learn on a junker. We all learned on junkers. The first car I bought, I paid $550 for. But I didn't wreck it. Then I bought another car for $500. And that lasted me 10 years, so I'm a cheapskate. Alessandro Bolano says, Scotty's a 96 Lexus LS 400, good as a first car. I didn't know if I might see one. Those are the V8 Lexus. Excellent cars. Great to drive. right? They're gas hogs, but I mean, they're well made. But now it's old as the hill, and the parts on those things cost a small fortune. Get yourself the window switch, the master window switch. Those can be like $450. Everything on those things costs a small fortune. It is not a good first car. The parts cost too much money. If you want a good first car, look at the 300 series. The 6-cylinder 300s, it's 300 because it's 3,000 cc's, are the best Lexuses. And if you could find one at a good price, an older one, it'd be a really good first car. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.